searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless. A sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah,
The countdown begins as we are closing in on the end of the season for the All-American Cup Series, season number 6 in 2023. Is just 4 races left to go before we crown ourselves a champion and we hit the Midwest and get ready to click our heels and go racing at the Kansas Speedway. Hey, Target. That's 2 stores I've seen over there. So we get ready to go 200 miles of racing here at the Kansas Speedway, virtually on iRacing, for the 11th round of this All-American Cup Series season. And of course, we have the 5-minute warm-up coming up here in just a second. We'll get you ready for the race coming up here momentarily. But first, we must qualify. And of course, qualifying presented by Mike Husby Designs MHD Pull Award. Apparently there's some traffic out on I-70 that has caused some drivers to be late to the race as I watch a couple pull in. Either that or they were eating at that barbecue restaurant that I went to once in Kansas City that I do not remember the name of, but it was like going to an Olive Garden, but with barbecue. It was really good. Anyways, cars are on track here, getting ready to qualify. Zach Henry in the 39 car. Going to be one of the first ones out there to qualify. Of course, Zach going to victory lane last week at Talladega. And the one thing I've been hearing a lot on these cars here tonight is the word loose, especially center off. So I think that's going to be something to watch here as we get into the race. But first, as mentioned, get to pole qualify as Henry goes to the bottom. Look at that thing get sideways off the corner. Of course, Kansas Speedway, home of the longest straightaways of all 1.5-mile tracks, believe it or not. I mean, you don't really notice the difference when you go running at other 1.5-mile tracks, but factually, I do point that out. Try to get the thing to cooperate with me, but never do. Kyle Ethier right now is on the pole, 30.33 seconds. Joseph McWhorter is second. Mark Whitley, Dylan Rosenberg making his debut tonight. Zach Henry, your top 5 is Henry goes to the top, 30-30 as of right now. His teammate Heller going to work his way up there to the 8th position. There we go. Got it to work finally. McWhorter there, third with a 30.39. Whitley 30.40. And then Rosenberg now a 30.42. So some good laps going on here. Yeah, I think some of these guys are taking advantage now and just running multiple laps just to kind of get more of a feel for the track. As John Kreidler jumps to 3rd. Josh Dillon up to 7th. Here's Matthew Weeks, who's continuing to try to make that charge in the championship. Right now, he is 13th right now at a 30.55. Let's see what he can do on lap number 2. You saw the purple in sector up. He's in the wall. There goes that. As Zach Rogers, who's running his first race in a couple weeks, 30-33 up there in P3. So qualifying just about over. Nick Leo out there still running laps in that Jewel number 69, the Impala. As Leo is 18:30.64. Here's the one car, Stephen Miles, who I think is playing the weather game right now. Letting qualifying kind of go through a little bit. As Trey Holmes again subbing tonight in that 20 car for the honeymooning Jordan Owens. Miles, I mean, he was driving that car off that corner. As he crosses the line, Miles jumps to 13th right now after lap 1. Make that 14th now as Carrington goes to 8th with a 30-43. So a lot of drivers letting this track kind of cool down a little bit, I think, here. And in the latter parts of qualifying as Miles takes that Marion number 1 down to the bottom, turn 3. Going to slide up that multiple progressive banking. Nice exit of 4. It's not going to be a pole lap, but he'll jump up to P4. Stephen Miles. He had a great 3 and 4 there. All right, so everybody's ran 2 laps, so qualifying is over. Zach Henry continues his momentum, 30.29. He will be the pole sitter for the Kansas 200 here at the Kansas Speedway. So thanks to Mike Husby Designs for sponsoring the Pole Award. This season. All right, so now that they're out there warming up, let's take a look at the point standings as we enter tonight's race. Overall points here. Casey Carrington leading by 4 right now over Mark Whitley. Whitley had a rough race last week at Talladega as it got a little wild. And there at the end, Casey Carrington able to hold on to the points lead there by 4. Whitley was able to maintain there for the most part. Zach Henry now up to 28 points back, 24 back of second there in points. Matthew Weeks within 63. Stephen Miles and Christopher Heller. They're 6 now with Ethier, Miller, Owens, and Craig Martin. Your top 10 there in the points. That is after last week, so still plenty of racing to go here, and that is the regular points as we enter tonight here in season number 6. I will get you the season overall here just a second. Team points, 25-11 continues to lead by 45 over CX2. iRacing there in 3rd, and then there's pretty much, excuse me, the rest of the field from 4th on down. Rookie of the Year standings, J.W. Miller leading by 1 over Kyle Ethier. As I look over, J-Dub's not even here tonight. So, looks like we'll have a change there in the Rookie of the Year standings here after tonight. It's pretty much a 2-horse race there as of right now. Manufactured points, Chevrolet leading Dodge by 10. Pontiac is 8 back of Dodge there, so that's, let's do the math, 10 plus 8, that's 18 points to the difference between Chevy and Pontiac, and then Toyota and Ford, unfortunately trailing towards the back as of right now. That's where we sit. Let's look at the overall points right now, as Christopher Heller leads by 1 over Matthew Weeks. Casey Carrington 5 points back as Craig Martin, I think, just destroyed a couple pit crews on pit road. And think about this for a second. This is after, what, 24 races that we've got this tight of a point battle up here. Now, granted, Heller's missed a couple races, Weeks missed a couple. Carrington and Miles, those guys have been here for every one of these races. But it shows you how tight of a battle we really have when it's all said and done. Now, I want to throw this factor in here too, and this is something that Casey and I were talking a little bit during the pre-race. the points format changed in Season 6. So I know I've been giving credit to Barkuski and how he's been able to hold on to the top 10 in points overall, even though he hasn't been here, I think, for a single race in Season 6. And then thinking about it and talking to Casey about it, there's a lot more forgiveness in the points this season for provisionals and stuff like that. So I think that has aided Brandon when it comes to what he's done. But that's not to disrespect or anything like that, what he did. I mean, he had a tremendous, obviously, season number 5. But April, Husby, Leo, your top 10 overall in the points standings. So got about a minute or so left. And great news for those watching, you will not see me on the track. I am not going out there. But I will point out one factor here that could play a role in this race. And that is there's a road course, believe it or not, at Kansas Speedway. And if you look very closely over in the turn 1 and 2 area, I'll try to point it out here when they go to turn 1. There's a part of the track that actually goes into the infield, almost mimicking Daytona, if you will, so to say, except they do it more into the actual middle of the corner. And they go, I think, like 3 or 4 corners into the infield, and then they come back out almost right next to here. Here's going to be a good example right here. Let's watch Mark Whitley leave the pits. Right there. And look at this car. There's a bump right there, and there's another bump right there that could play a role in pit stops tonight. So that is something to watch in that transition right there over the infield portion of the road course here at the Kansas Speedway. So that, and I think pit entry right there, you see one car going into the pits, and I think Whitley's practicing his pit stop right now. Let's watch as he gets it down to 45 mile an hour. How about we just click our heels and disappear? Wizard of Oz style. All right, cars will grid now, and let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Kansas 200, race number 11 of the All-American Cup Series season. Zach Henry on the pole, 30.295, beats out Kyle Ethier. Another great qualifying run for the New England driver. He will start there at P2. Zach Rogers, row number 2, he'll start next to Stephen Miles. Row 3, John Kreidler and Joseph McCorder in that 73 car. Mark Whitley and Dylan Rosenberg making his first All-American start tonight in that 96 car. We welcome him in the AC Delco number 96. Casey Carrington, Josh Dillon, teammates there in row number 10. Trey Holmes filling in for Jordan Owens, who's still honeymooning somewhere. Who knows when he will come back. Corolla Steele, in a very interesting team name, Alpha Ravioli Yoo-Hoo Racing. I'm not sure eating raviolis with Yoo-Hoo is a good mix. I'm just going to throw that out there now. And did I just hear a word I have never heard? What was that word Okay, we're listening to the pre-race meeting in my ears. Joseph Penn just said a word I have never heard in my life, and I'm about to get that one from him. Terry Freer and Christopher Heller, row number 7. Row 8, Jackson Van Pelt and Sean Cassidy. Matthew Weeks, Shane Gentry. Kyle Hall, Brad Delph. Nick Leo, Thomas Stanley there, row 11. Jake Vanosky and Carson George, the curious little Carson, will start 24th. 25th, Craig Martin in a Halloween-painted Jacko Martin car, if you will. Race information, 134 laps, 200 miles, 70-degree track temp, 85 is the actual track temp, ambient 70, 40% humidity, cloudy skies, 12-mile-an-hour winds in Kansas Speedway. As we go green, 11th race of Season 6 from Kansas. Our cameras tonight presented by TrackCams22.com. You check them out online on Facebook and the iRacing forums at TrackCams22.com as Zach Henry picks up where he left off, and Carrington going diving for a taco already or something at the bottom there. What did he drop? He dropped his pocket or something? I say tacos. I actually just had a really good taco salad from a place I've never eaten at up here. Just going to throw that out there on a side note. As Henry leads lap 1, the Zach and Zach show 1-2. And already seeing some 3 wide is Heller to the top. Dillon in the middle. Rosenberg getting loose. Welcome to the series, kid. I say kid, he's probably older than I am. Going to see the cars pretty much all over the place. And I think eventually, just like in traditional Kansas fashion, you're going to see the cars slide up the track. And all of a sudden, it'll begin. Pretty much everybody rim riding. It's Kyle Hall trying to work his way up through the field as Jordan Owens watches. He's here. Ladies and gentlemen, the newly married... Wait a minute. Is it... yeah, Mr. Owens, we'll call him. I don't know Jordan enough. I can't do the joke like I do others. There's a guy I know that recently got married, and I asked him, did you take your wife's last name? I'm rude like that. Anyways, all right. Back to green. There's just those families, or those newlyweds that are not afraid, and I was one, to say that my wife wore the jeans. And still does. Stephen Miles going for third with McWhorter. Oh, and caution out for the first time. Trey Holmes. Uh-oh. Trey Holmes subbing for Jordan Owens. Has slid the car off turn 2, and I don't see any damage. And that's about the same spot where Ryan Preece all but knocked the wall down a couple years ago when he was driving for the Gesector team. But let's see what happened to... Nothing wrong with that. That's a part of Hawaii, correct? Oh, and around, yeah, that's one. You lock it down, young man. Kiss the wall, not bad. I didn't see, I was reading the chat. Did he get loose or did he get helped out here? Let's watch again. Congratulations, by the way, in all seriousness. Oh, he got tagged. 14 sent him packing. So he'll come to pit road here early. That's, dude, enjoy your time, my man. Enjoy your time. Because unfortunately, the one thing I did learn the hard way is when you get back home, it's back to life. Unfortunately. All right, so caution out for the first time. Gives me a chance to do some experimenting like I've been doing. And believe it or not, I've unhooked my wheel as of last week. Just because I haven't really raced much and don't know when I'll race again. And I've actually swapped over to my PlayStation controller, believe it or not, that I use for video games on here. And use that for buttons now to mute and stuff with chat. So we're going to see how this works out. But I do want to bring our pole sitter up here and current leader of this race. And that's Zach Henry. Zach, 6 laps in. You've led them all so far, obviously. But more importantly, getting that pole award here, carrying that momentum from Talladega has got to be a pretty big start to the week.
Pretty nice. Yeah, I was expecting, especially Matthew, really fast, but I think he must have hit the wall or something on the second lap. So
he did.
Yeah, I'll take what I can get.
Now, obviously, you talked about it a little bit. We talked pre-race, you and your teammate there, Heller, as you get ready to go back to green. I did see the cars all over the place there at the start, but how quick do you think here we're going to see cars pretty much up in the Larson line the whole time?
I don't know. That probably I'm not going to move up until I see the people behind me start making ground on me and really kind of committing to it. Especially if I'm still able to put down decent lap times on the bottom. I just feel like it's easier to save both of the right sides on the bottom and just rolling the corner a little bit slower. So if I'm out front, I like to wait as long as I can. So when I see Zach, Steven, Mark, when he gets up here, because I'm sure he will, those guys really move up to the wall and stay there. That's probably about when I'll start making my way up.
There you go, my man. Well, hey, good luck the rest of the way, and we talk later.
Hope so.
Once I learn how to speak English. As Zach Henry leading this race right now as we get ready to go back to green lap number 8. Another thing that I was going to touch on there, but I wanted to let him finish his answer, is I wonder how much the right front is going to take a beating with him running the bottom more than the right rear. That is something notoriously you could see here at this track. So here we go, green back out. Henry leading with Joseph McCorder having a great run here so far. Up there battling for third. Kyle Ethier in the bottom with his teammate Stephen Miles up above. Casey Carrington also. Mark Whitley there and 3 wide out back. Kreidler in that 99 car. I'm going to have to check the my chat because I did Whitley block what's his name from chatting with me anymore during the race? What's going on? I haven't heard from my boy yet. Where's my helper? Where's my guy? As look at McCorder go for the McLead off the McCorner. Side by side at the line. Henry by about a nose. That old Pontiac kickout they got back in 2003 when Ricky Craven won in Darlington. Yeah, Brantley, thank you. Oh, so Brantley took the week off and Roger Pierce is now spotting, apparently. Or, I get it now. Never mind. You're spotting for Joe. Well, I don't know if this is a good time to be telling me you're spotting for Joe. He's kind of in a mess right now. To the lead he goes. What do you know, Joe? I believe that's his first laps led in this league. I'll have to check on that. And here comes Brantley, like, what? I'm starting trouble. This is what happens when you move to a new place. You're happy now, and the day you get to do a broadcast, you go back to working a 14-hour day like you did in Georgia. My head's just out there right now. And no, I've not had a single ounce of drink, and I don't do any drugs at all. So let's just throw that out there now. Carrington down there moving on the bottom as Henry starts to fall back a little bit there. Maybe hurt his tires. I have patties for the... I'm confused. Are you talking hamburger patties? What are we speaking of here? As Whitley there in the 6th position right now behind Casey. Oh, I should have known. I was just talking about drinking one. I'm tired. So McCorder leading Rogers and Henry and Ether and Carrington, your top 5. As this track starting to heat up now, the sun has come out. It was cloudy throughout practice. And I did notice a couple times the sun kind of peeking out off turn 4. But now I think this is probably the most this track has seen the sun since the session went up. As Henry and Ethier battle for 3rd, and I think Henry's starting to get that top line rotating. I had a Dr. Pepper with dinner. Unfortunately, half the Dr. Pepper is, well, cleaned up because it was sitting in the... it was sitting on my counter after I spilled it. Party foul, yes, I know. So we ride on board with Ethier. They're getting a little free off the corner. Here comes Heller now. He's joining this battle. So what's there? So just curious question. Is that something I've never had patties before? Is that something like is that like an on the rocks type thing, or you drink straight, or is there some, what? Is there anything that goes well with that? Just curious. Either you're getting a little tight there off the corner, going to lose a couple positions. That specific? I could tell you're a race car driver. That's like very Kyle Busch-like for you to say. I mean, the only thing you have not done is tell me the exact dimensions of the cubes. Unfortunately, I've never had a Jameson either, but I've heard of Jameson. I don't mix. That's awesome. So that's 1.5 by 0.7 of an inch. As Carrington and Rogers battle for third, one car back there. It looked like might have been somewhere near Shane Gentry. Terry Freer got loose back there, it looked like. Kyle Hall in scheduled pit stop for the 87. And he is taking his car behind the wall or something. Not sure what's going on there. There is the Jacko Martin car. Craig Martin with the Halloween scheme. Malin to 20 there. Trey Holmes trying to work his way back up through the field after getting sent into the inside barriers there off turn 2. And there's the car that got him, the 14. Brad Delph, he and Jackson Van Pelt battling in that Busch 07 car. Ooh, up the track goes Cassidy. Ooh, and then he gets a little free here. Let's see if Van Pelt, though. Careful here. So I say he's going to have to drop that thing to the apron. Up, caution out. Caution on the track. Carson George in the inside barrier. I mean, he literally spun right down the road from where the 20 went around. I don't see much damage on the Nintendo 53 car. If any. He might not have got the wall at all. Wow, that car looks pretty clean, actually. Let's see what happened. The old chain reaction checks up. Kreidler sends him packing. Lock it down. Oh, another kiss to the wall. So that's twice now I've seen two people spin off the corner. And I know you're carrying a lot of speed off these corners and that kind of thing, especially in his car. But when you're in a situation like that, you're heading for a wall as fast as you are off the corner and you get turned. I don't know if... And I get the point of sometimes you get so mad you just let off of everything. You let go of the wheel. Your feet are just kind of hanging there by the throttle or whatever, not even touching it. But I'm almost on the brakes, like really quickly, like locking it down so you don't hit anything. So Casey Carrington has just been penalized for an unsafe entrance, I'm being told. As McCorder wins the race off pit road. Let's go back to it and see. Oh, yeah, he clipped the cone right there. Yeah, that'll do it. You know, the one thing that I'm kind of curious of, you watch them come to pit road. Obviously Zach's got a decent gap there. Casey gets back up to him. And all of a sudden, watch the gap open up here. And then Casey speeds up and it has to check up. And just unfortunate circumstances there. Now, the positive there was no water barrels to the right of Casey. Or else he could be in the garage right now. So the last 4 races here of Season 6. We go Kansas Speedway tonight, and then next Friday night we go to the Legacy Phoenix Raceway. And that is the Phoenix with the grass and the old dog leg on the back straightaway. We'll run that next Friday night, and then we go to Richmond, which was supposed to be ran earlier in the season, swapped with Darlington, and then Homestead to finish it out for 3 more weeks. And, of course, we're getting to that point now on the Captain Esports Network where a lot of the series are kind of toning it down. So you're noticing, if you are one that likes to watch my streams a lot, you're not going to see me a lot. Gives me a chance to kind of cool down. And for those who do not know, I do work for a company called FedEx. And just put it like this. A lot of you listeners or wives or partners or sisters or cousins or aunts or whoever like to order packages around this time of the year. So it makes people like me a little busy. I agree with that, Brantley. My wife will be watching QVC, or see, my wife's actually still in Georgia, and I'm up in Indiana now. And she'll call me up. She goes, "Yeah, I'm watching QVC." She's like a big QVC person. She's like, "We ought to get this." I'm like, "Sweetie, let's wait." She's like, "I know, Black Friday." I'm like, "Let's wait." Wow, that's interesting. Single as a... You realize a Pringle's in a can with like 35 other chips, right? Anyways, green flag's back out. McCorder leading. Now, you could have said single as a candy bar, maybe. Henry second, Whitley, Miles, Rogers, your top 5. I agree 100%. So everybody came in, tires and fuel there. And we'll have to keep an eye on what Casey Carrington does. He's already up to the 17th position. Obviously going to be driving a little angry here in that 9 car. Trying to hold on to that points lead he has over Mark Whitley. And Casey's not afraid to be vocal, kind of out loud in chat when he has an issue or whatever to himself, and he literally said already his race is over. So let's hope that that mindset kind of gets worked back into the, hey, I still have a chance here type of mindset, because obviously when you get into a mental approach like that, and I'm one of these people that are like that, get negative like that on yourself or whatever towards your race, that's when you get mistake and then another mistake and then another mistake, and then all of a sudden you're out of the race. So the best thing you can do in this situation, make the best of a bad situation right now and work your way up through the field. I'm a good Monday morning quarterback, but when it comes to me on the track, forget it. I think that's why you see people like Dan Orlovsky on ESPN Trying to think of some others. Regan Smith. Heller getting loose down there in the bottom. You get these guys that weren't the best of players in their respective sport, but yet they go on TV and they sound like they've done it all. You see the different grooves of Kansas right here. Going to work is Mike Husby. 30 laps, stuck in traffic, finally makes an appearance at the racetrack. All right, so while we're green here for a second, I do want to go back to the start of the race. And listening to the chat that was going on as Joseph Penn, who's in the booth tonight, doing his usual spotter stuff, had a word. There's just one problem. I was going to bring him up here and ask him what that word is. He is not in chat at all. He's not in Discord. So I'm going to hopefully find out here very soon. There was I mean, this, I will honestly, I know I joke around when I hear like big words and things like that. And I'm like, man, I've never, and it's like a word that's easily been heard by everybody. I honestly have never heard the word he said. Mark Whitley to his second, or at least battling with Henry. That 77 looking pretty lively here. Two of the hottest drivers here on the circuit so far this season is Whitley, of course, the most wins in Season 6, and Henry, who's starting to lock down top fives almost consistent. Excuse me, again, consistently. You see just the different approaches to the corner. Whitley going more straight into the corner where you see the arc coming from the 39, just different ways of saving tires, or just different ways of almost trying to work the corners. So you see how Whitley now goes in kind of shallow into the corner, gets that nose out in the cleanest air possible. Of course, with McWhorter there, it takes away a little bit of it. Check back here on Casey as he battles the new kid on the block, if you will, the 96 of Rosenberg. And Dillon gives the 9 car the spot, move him to 12th. So Casey doing a good job working his way up here through the field after the penalty. Meanwhile, let's go back up here because that battle for second continues to pick up. And here comes Stephen Miles into the battle. Miles doing everything he can to get himself a victory in this series. I've talked to him a couple times this week, and the words I keep hearing at him, I gotta go run laps at Kansas. I gotta go run laps at Kansas. Oh, Heller getting up at the outside wall just a little bit. Hello, by the way, Mrs. Heller, if you are watching. She usually tunes in. Willie slides her up there. And I think right there is a good example of where Brantley is a great spotter for Mark, and any live spotter is good to have, because there's not a guarantee that Mark makes that move without somebody telling him he's clear. So let's look back here. Nick Leo, Josh Dillon Brad Delph battling for 10th, 11th, and 9th, 10th, 11th, I should say. Leo up 12 spots already from the start of his race. So looking at the notes for the race here tonight, 15.9, of course, back on the fuel gallons that they run each week. Of course, super speedways are a little different number. When it comes to the fuel mileage into the calculator and stuff. So about 37 laps or so is what I'm being told by the drivers. So obviously if we go 37, let's go 35 to 40, put a little range on it. And if we go towards the aggressive end, at 62, we're looking at for the next pit stop. So about 20 laps away, around 20, 15 to 20 laps. Let's see, Roger's choking apparently on a 3 or something. So let's, you know what? Let's do this. Mrs. Heller, if I may ask you, me being a guy who delivers packages for a living, when do you start your Christmas shopping if you haven't started already, or if you've not stopped since last year? Just curious. Henry and Whitley still continue to battle up there for third, but this battle here is getting pretty intense. 3 cars, 3 different lanes, fighting it out. 9th, 10th, 11th. Carrington trying to catch them there in 12th. As Shane Gentry's on pit road in the 26. Not sure if that's unscheduled or not. Looks like it is, the way he's driving down pit road. I'm very impressed because a lot of the drivers I talked to pre-race said that they felt that it would be very tough to pass, but it would not be at all possible on the bottom. And we're seeing Whitley do a pretty good job of maintaining the bottom. And I think he just paid a backhanded compliment to Zach Henry on chat. That was pretty funny, actually. Good job, Mark. He said he'd make Ryan Newman proud with that number. What's his name? Brad Doherty said it best one day. Ryan Newman is more tougher to pass than a kidney stone. Still one of the best lines I've ever heard in racing. I heard that. So 47 laps complete. Just overheard something. Some contact potentially somewhere back here. And I'm going to check here with Shane. I wonder, did something happen between Shane and the 46 maybe, or with Freer? So I'm not sure. We'll have to look into that. Meanwhile, Henry has fallen back. Whitley has gone by him. So has Miles. So you wonder if Henry kind of, well, now Henry's getting all types of loose there off with 2. So that could be playing a factor in this. But I wonder if there was a little bit more yielding there by Henry after that comment or whatnot. But They're way 48 laps now complete. Let's go back here to Matthew Weeks, and he and Kyle Ethier are battling for the 5th position now. Zach Rogers there behind him. Weeks with a good run off 2. He'll probably be able to clear him off of turn 4. All right, so 52 laps complete now. As you see, Carrington has gotten by the 12 car, or the I should say the 14 of Brad Delph, now working on his teammate up here. And I'm noticing now that Henry's starting to fall back even more as Weeks has gone by. Here comes Ethier. So you now wonder if the tires and everything are really starting to play a role in this race, and handling really starting to kick in. So McWhorter continuing to lead here and holding about a 0.6 of a second lead over his teammate. Whitley got about a second or so back to Stephen Miles, and then there's Weeks, and then back here as Henry continues to fight with Ethier. Zach Rogers is kind of maintaining the 7th position. As here comes Carrington to pit road, lap 55, so short pitting here. About 33 laps, so when I do the numbers that Roger said to me, that's about right on the number here. So I'm thinking the others will be in here in the next lap or so, so maybe a little undercut here from the 9. Tires and fuel going on. Here comes other cars, Stephen Miles. Also the 22 of Craig Martin. I'm trying to picture what you guys are saying, like when it comes to the Hobby Lobby stuff. Like, I've never worked in any kind of like convenience, or not convenience, but retail. But I can only imagine the hell it is. I mean, I guess the closest outside of delivering during Christmas time, I guess. The closest I've had to it is Nick Leo, Rosenberg, Carson George, Terry Freer on pit road. The closest I've had to it outside of delivering, I guess it'd be when I was working in barbecue back when I was younger, like like I was an older teenager going into my 20s and starting college and stuff. You know, working those time periods during like Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, stuff like that. And maybe even doing like big catering events and stuff during the summer. I mean, that's probably the closest I could think to it. When you go and you know that it's going to be just straight hell. And oh, by the way, I'm in South Florida, so it's 95 degrees. All right, so Matthew Weeks, Zach Henry, Zach Rogers coming to pit road. Watch out for that yellow cone. We saw it bite somebody earlier. There's the 20 car coming to pit road also. So I would expect the leaders to be coming in here pretty quickly. 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. All right, leaders are on pit road. As you see, Weeks and Henry and those guys make their moves out. Here comes McCorder, Whitley, Heller, Delph. All these guys at pit road. Lap 60. So still at least 2 pit stops. I think. Being the key word is I'm doing some quick math in my head here. More tires and fuel. McCorder, good stop. Whitley, good stops. As Thomas Stanley going to take the lead of this race. Thomas still yet to pit. And Thomas is, well, he's going to take a very conservative approach to pit road, apparently. And that'll hand the lead. I say conservative, he about wipes it out. To that guy right there, Casey Carrington, who did the short pit, did the undercut, and now has about 0.2 of a second over Stephen Miles. Miles pitted a lap after Carrington, and then you see the gap back to those cars that pitted about 3 or 4 laps later. So I tell you this, that's actually a pretty impressive gap when you look at some of these cars in behind where Carrington and Miles are right now. I mean, 5.86 seconds and literally 4, 5, 6 lap difference. I mean, I think later on in the long run it's going to make a difference, but I mean, this might have actually been the better move to make. Now, the question going to be is the fuel, as I said. You know, pitting at lap 60, and let's just call it 33 now because Roger said the -3 off of the numbers. And, of course, as we know by the great Abbott and Costello bit, 7 times 13 is 28. 33 would be 66, and from lap 60, that would get you to 126. So I think it's going to get very interesting later on in this race here as this strategy continues on. So now 5.2 seconds as McCorder gets past Ethier there for position. You see Matthew Weeks also in that battle. Nobody's perfect, Mr. Pierce. No one's perfect. I've learned that the hard way, my guy. Field pretty spread out now. And you know what? Let's do it. Of course, as we continue on in this race, we're coming up to halfway, and apparently a lot of drivers have been liking me doing this. I've been asked to do it more, so I have no problem doing it as we take you through the field, captain style. Unfortunately, I don't have pit reporters to share all the good news and stuff, but I can tell you this, Stephen Miles is taking the lead over Casey Carrington right there, lap 66. Again, these guys pitted lap 55 and 54, respectively. So, obviously, at this rate, they're going to have to pit somewhere probably around lap 92-ish, 90, 92, somewhere in that range. Carried away. Maybe a little sooner than that. Might be more 82. I don't know. I just all of a sudden forgot how to do math. But those guys are going to be on the early end of the pit window here in this race. But right now they both have about 0.3 of a second on each other. And it's 3.6 seconds back to the man who has dominated so far in this race, Joseph McWhorter. Which, the only thing I've got to say about Joseph, and the interesting thing, is this photo of him. Is it a shadow or is there actually a microphone hanging to his left? I think it's a shadow. But with the way that cord sits to the left of him, it looks like it's an actual microphone. But McWhorter otherwise has been dominant. Matthew Weeks, the 4th place car. Matthew gaining 13 spots. Been trying to get himself back into the playoff battle. Or I say the playoff battle, championship battle. As he's got Mark Whitley there behind him in the 4th position. Whitley there, 77 car. Continues to be one of the hottest drivers on the circuit. Of course, is the most wins. He's had a couple of rough patches, but doing a good job in the 5th position. That's a farmer. Oh, that's good stuff. You don't have to be... Anyways, okay, I'll stop now. Kyle Ethier, 6th position there, the New England driver. I will still to this day argue he has the best number color of all the TI cars. That 60 is a pretty sporty one. Kind of has that Briscoe, Cindric, Pastrana mix when they ran that 3-driver tandem for Roush back a couple years ago. Zach Henry, the pole sitter, has fallen back to the 7th position. Zach pitted at lap 59 with most of the leaders. Zach doing what he can right now, but unfortunately kind of struggling a little bit. He's been running top 5 a lot of races here, been starting to kind of get his season going, and might need a caution or so to get back up there in contention. Zach Rogers. This guy here, we have not seen Zach. I mean, it's been a couple months, I think. I'm actually going back right now to take a peek. Zach obviously got some busy things going on. As you look down the bottom in his photo as he sits at the podium up Daytona International Speedway there, like he's dropping a press conference or something. Is Zach Rogers going to drive for... Is he going to drive the 10 for Stuart Haas? Which, side note, I think you could put almost any driver... You can insert their name as a rumor for that team, and it actually becomes valid because of the latest rumors that have been happening with that ride. I mean, it's crazy. Next week, Natalie Decker will be rumored for the 10. Get ready for it. Just actually checking the stats here before I move to the next driver to see... Oh, we about had a party foul. Tell me I'm wrong, though. I mean, look at the last 2 weeks. Was it Noah Gregson's all of a sudden popped up, and then Brett Moffitt? What? I mean, not that, you know. I do not see the 4 car on my list, so I do not think. I think this is actually Zach's first race of the season. Are you sure that's not in 24 that move happens, Roger? And I totally agree with that. I've actually heard that talk. Anyway, Zach Rogers making a pass on Zach Henry. as we continue that, I'm not to check. I just looked in the stats. I don't think Rogers has been here this season. If so, it's been early in the season. Christopher Heller running in the 9th position. He's been fighting handling on that car throughout practice and the race, but Chris just, unfortunately, it's like that season champion jinx has come into play. Last season, Matthew Weeks won the championship in season 4, comes in season 5, and has all types of issues, and finally towards the end of the season picked it up. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate that. I was looking for his name. I couldn't find it. Heller's had some good finishes, but it just not come together for him this season like it did last season. Josh Dillon, 10th position here for the 12 car. Kind of random stat here. Josh Dillon is not a Ryan Newman fan, but yet runs the Ryan Newman font in the 12 font on that car, kind of like an Alltel color. However, I do need to share this. Ever since I brought up the fact that he has never led a lap in this series, which was 3 weeks ago, he has now led a lap in 2 straight races. So I wonder if Josh is going to try for 3 here this evening if he didn't already. Brad Delph, the Snap Fitness number 14 car, running in the 11th position. And then back there, the first of one of the comebacks we've had so far this season, or this race, I should say. Trey Holmes spun out lap, I forget what lap it was, like lap 5. It was early in the race. Trey Holmes in the inside wall has battled back to the 12th position. So good job on his part there, driving Jordan's number 20, which we found out Jordan is having fun still on his vacation. So good for he and his newlywed. Nick Leo, 13th position there in that Jewel car. Nick's kind of stalled out after moving up close to the top 10 there. Behind him, Jackson Van Pelt, running the Busch 07 car. Zach is about 12 seconds, 11 seconds off the lead right now, and pitted there at lap 58. And then the new guy, Dylan Rosenberg, the 96 car, got the yellow stripe on it, running the. You always get confused with this one if that's the Dale Jr. AC Delco or is that the Ron Hornaday AC Delco. Johnny Sauter, I guess you could throw in there too. But Rosenberg running there in the 15th position. John Kreidler, the Jeff Purvis throwback, the Wolf 99 car, running 16th right now. Of course, John made a little contact early in the race that helped the second caution out when there was a little checkup, and then the now losing it, which car it was that went spinning. Bring out the second caution. You should think I should take notes. Carson George, that's who went around. Matthew Weeks is on pit road. Let's cut away real quick and cover this. 4 tires and fuel for the 11 car. A little backward strategy right here, I think, as we're 52 laps. Here comes Carrington. So here we go with the second round of green flag pit stops right now, which tells me I talked way too much because that whole entire run I was doing it through the field segment. Well, anyways, real quickly, Jake Fanoski, Carson George, Craig Martin, Terry Freer is the rest of the cars on the lead lap. So sorry to not cover those guys much, but here we go at pit road. Four tires and fuel for the number 9 Dodge. I actually joked with Casey before the race. I said, hey, you know, if you go out and wreck your car in qualifying, then I could put up a Busch Series race and you'd win it. And, of course, he didn't understand the analogy. And I go back to when Casey Kane won, I want to say 07, something like that. He wrecked his primary car in Cup qualifying, went out later that day and outran Mark Martin to win the, or it might have been Jeff Burton, I forget which one it was, the Busch race here, or Xfinity race, whatever you want to call it at that time. So those two cars, so Weeks and Carrington, have pitted already. So let's see when everybody else comes to pit road. It might give me a chance now to actually cover the rest of the field here. So Jake Fanoski there, the Budweiser 28 car. Running in the 15th position is Jake, just trying to hang on to that 28 car right now as John Kreidler comes to pit road there in the 99 car. The Halloween pumpkin car of Craig Martin Arguably the best photo of all drivers in the series. And Craig, that car's loose on the straightaway. I guess one compliment I could say about that car is the front valence being so orange. Like, you could tell it's completely sealing off the racetrack. And, of course, that is the leader, by the way, putting Craig Martin a lap down in the 16th position. Terry Freer in the 46 is in the outside wall, running 17th right now. As Trey Holmes is now on pit road. So Holmes is in. Jackson Van Pelt coming to pit road. So here we go with the green flag pit stops for the second time. There you go, through the field. As of right now, lap number 86. So a little shy of 50 laps to go. As, by the way, hello, Carlos. Yo, Scala, go to your settings real quick. Turn the numbers thing on. What do you mean it's showing default numbers? As Miles comes to pit road, so is Vanoski and Van Pelt. If you're talking about the hide car number type thing, because if I go click on that button, it is going to change everybody's paint schemes. So you see the fresh tires, the 9 going by. Whose number is showing default? You're fine, brother. I just want to make sure. If there's something wrong, I want people to tell me. That's Kyle Ethier. Dropped the hot pocket there on the backstretch almost. Don't ever be afraid to tell me something's wrong, because I will quickly verify or something. That's Craig Martin on pit road. So while all that did go on, by the way, as I was going through the field, McCorder obviously now leads this race. Whitley's second. Rogers and Ethier were third and fourth as Ethier comes to pit road here. So obviously they did eventually catch Casey Carrington and others. They fell back through the field after we were covering them. So that's, you do want to get that out there for those who are watching. Notice that Carrington was like 6th or 7th after, or finally coming to pit road there before the round of pit stops. So as here's Ethier to pit road. I would expect the 9 to be back up near the lead at the next round of pit stops as Ethier pulls away. Zach Rogers now on pit road. Here comes Rosenberg. Appreciate the viewers tonight. I like the count that we're seeing so far. Close to 20, if not a little over. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I know, for instance, you, Mr. Carlos, I always like trying to pronounce the last name, so forgive me if I get this wrong, but I'm going to do my best here. Antiquiopolo? How close am I? I'm just kind of curious. I just broke it up in synonyms. As Josh Dillon on pit road, Carson George, Dylan Rosenberg, as I mentioned, he's in. Dillon's having a nice, solid race. So leaders have not pitted, now 34 laps. We're at 94. And 40 to go right now. So if they can get 3 laps out of this, this could get interesting. That 37 number that Mr. Pierce brought up a little bit ago, might be a little up to something. Brantley probably over there telling Roger, don't be telling Scala that number we can do. So still the top 5 have not come to pit road here. So I think these guys are trying to make it to a certain number, which would be the next lap or so. So these guys going to try to... Roger with the double negative in a sentence. Well done. I think he was trying to do the old line from Stroker Race. My favorite movie of all time when it comes to racing. Actually, any movie. I am just a representative. I know nothing. Great movie. Those who have never seen it. All right, so the whole fuel game here is getting interesting because now here comes McCorder to pit road. That's going to get Whitley a bonus point for leading. Heller comes, well, he stays out. Henry comes to pit road. Brad Delft to pit road. Do not make a mistake for those guys here on this one-stop strategy, it looks like. Because if this is what they're doing, then this is literally it for them pitting the rest of this race. And I'm kind of curious what the tires look like here. Wear-wise. Because if you're somebody like me, true story, you can ask Stephen Miles when they race. And they're like, what were your tires, Scala? I'm like, black. As Heller leaves pit road, Whitley yet to come in still 66, 70. That's not bad, actually. That rear first or front first? Here comes Whitley now. You see Mike Husby leaving pit road. So this is going to create a pretty big gap between drivers here. And you're going to see that the leader is now Matthew Weeks up there at the top of the screen, so he's going to get some points for leading. Matter of fact, he and Carrington, I think, almost made contact a little bit ago. I overheard a chat. Unfortunately, I'd have to go searching for a little bit to find it. But there's your leader now, Matthew Weeks, in the battle with he and the 9. Stephen Miles, 2.1 seconds back now. Kyle Ethier, 7 seconds back. Trey Holmes now up to 5th. In this 20 car. Good comeback run there for the 20. Running in the 5th position. And you see now where the pit stops come into play here. McCorder 15 and a half seconds back. In the 7th position, Whitley is 19 seconds back. So they're almost 3/4 of the track back. With 33 laps to go. Delta times on pit road about 44 to 45 seconds. So obviously they're going to need to get as much space back as possible so that they can create more space when the pit stops come again for these other guys that short pitted. So you saw Rogers get past 20 there for position. That's the 5th place spot right there. Back to this battle to the front here. These two have had their share of incidences on track, but needless to say, they're always complimentary of each other and have a great amount of respect no matter what. Especially, you hear Weeks say a lot of how the way Casey runs his league and stuff is very respectful on the 11's end. Even though on track, though, they can get a little heated sometimes. Ooh, Casey getting a little loose there, bottom side. Look at this. 4 cars under a blanket. Oh, the chop, if you will. The 96 chopping the nose off the 14. Now Brad's going to climb the top side there. And make that pass for position. So 30 laps to go. Let's go back these last couple of seasons and look at the history here at Kansas Speedway, the third event here that's been held. August 27th, 2021 was the... Oh, there's the 96. Getting a little bit of a Kansas kiss, if you will. A 1 caution race for only 4 laps. 10 lead changes in that event. That was season number 1 at the race. And then that was actually a night race here. And then season number 3 in April of 2022, a night race there, which had 6 cautions. So this is actually the first day race we've had in Kansas. And we just had some quick yellows early in the race. Otherwise, it's cleaned up, and we've been green the rest of the way. All right, so let's bring up the pit strategy here real quickly and see where we're at with things. As you see the numbers there, pretty much everybody under the caution at 22 came to pit road. And then from there, it's been green flag pit stops. You see the numbers is 14 and 99 about got each other there. As up front here, you see Heller making a move on Van Pelt for 11th. But you see everybody here pretty much 56, 60 range there in the second column. And then you go to the third column over here, and this is where it gets interesting. 80, 81, 86, 90, 91, 97, 99, 84. So pretty much safe to say anybody left of the 97, I think, is going to have to come to pit road again. So your top 5 at least. I think McWhorter and Whitley are good. Holmes will definitely come to pit road again. Henry and Dillon out of your top 10 here. So going to be very interesting to see here. But I think the team there has got the strategy potentially in play here. Again, the question going to be when these guys come in and take the set of tires and stuff, will they be able to catch the 73 and 77? You see already, respectively, they've knocked the lead down to 7.7 and 7.9 seconds, respectively, as I would expect Matthew Weeks this time by to pit road. There he comes, the 11 in, so that'll hand the lead to the 9 of Carrington, and you see Miles has actually caught the 9. And could see a battle here. And so pit stop starting up again with 24 laps to go. Do we dare see a 2-tire move here by anybody? Now 4 for Weeks. Jordan Owens on pit road. Oh, I said Jordan. I knew I was going to do that once. Trey Holmes on pit road. As Van Pelt, Kreidler, and Leo in. Here's your battle for the lead right now. Miles has caught the 9. Good job by everybody to stay low and let the faster cars continue on down the straightaway. Now you just got to be careful because you're going to have fresher tires and can run these guys over. Miles going to get the run there. Casey getting a little loose there. Leo on his rear did not help him. Oh, contact! That almost got bad. And Miles, I think he's going to abort and he's coming to pit road. Hung a left and said, yeah, I'm coming to pit road. Locks it down. Casey's car, that thing got loose, and then with the 90 or the 69 sitting there on his rear. Four tires and fuel. It's a tough spot, man. It's a real tough spot there, Carlos, because you got, well, I mean, they just come out of the pits with fresh tires. So they're trying to get around the leaders, so in case the caution comes out, they're back on the lead lap or close to it, or in this case, maybe even one lap down. So, I mean, I give them more credit actually for holding back a little bit there, because they could have easily just went to the top side or middle and just blown by them. But yeah, those guys literally just came off pit road with fresh tires. So Carrington on pit road, good stop for him. 2 tires. You see that right there? 9 seconds for the 9 car. Well, we're about to see how loose this car really is. Same guy won the Nashville race 2 seasons or 1 season ago? 2 seasons ago with the same kind of strategy. Josh Dillon on pit road. Rosenberg is in. As here comes the 60 of Ethier. Now, the one thing I am catching is you look up there in the 8th position right now. Weeks did stay ahead of Carrington, even though Casey went with 2 tires there. So now the stage is pretty much set. As the top 5 all pitted lap 97 or later. And as I see the numbers right now, Matthew Weeks is pretty much a lap of catching up to do to get to the leader. Let's look where Matthew is right now on track. Crossing the start-finish line. Mark Whitley is now starting his next lap crossing the line. So Whitley actually leading McCorder now by 0.2 of a second. So Matthew Weeks has got to make up 1.5 miles in 15 laps. So 14 laps to go. And right now, the only thing holding back Whitley from another win is his teammate. Well, and potentially something yellow. There goes Ethier going by Carrington, who's getting loose, saw 4. And I can hear the anger right now in Carrington's voice, unfortunately. Sometimes you try these strategies, you win some, you lose some. And credit to him for trying, but unfortunately this might hurt him when it comes to the point standings as he loses a spot. That's another point lost. He's got Henry and Heller right there behind him. But that is not for position, as Carrington actually is 1 lap down here at 9th. As he's got about a second and a half over the 4 car of Zach Rogers and the 20 of Trey Holmes. Those are the next cars for position for the 9. I mean, Carrington is fighting that car on the straightaway. That's how loose it is right now. And again, I talked about earlier, making a situation worse. Obviously, this right now is a bad spot for him to be in. The worst thing he can do right now is to wreck or bring out a caution or even destroy his car and not finish this race. He needs to take whatever he can get and just get the best finish possible. He's got 5 seconds on Jackson Van Pelt with 10 laps to go. So if he can find a way to maintain the 5 seconds and not make a major mistake, 11th is better than 20th. As Mike Husby comes to pit road for the final time. As all of a sudden Whitley is pulled away to a 1 second lead here in these last couple laps. Either Whitley has gotten the green flag and said, all right, you can go, you're good to go on fuel, or McWhorter is all of a sudden short. Never mind. Being told they're both good, as we see in chat, so. The one-stop strategy obviously paying off here tonight. Six laps to go. 9/10 of a second over McWhorter. I mentioned Phoenix next week, and then the Richmond race, and then Homestead November 17th will finish out 2023 and the first full year of racing for the All-American Cup Series on the Captain Esports Network. Appreciate again Casey for reaching out. Not only did he reach out back in season 4, nope, season 3 it was. I think it was towards the end of 3 or into 4. But funny story, and he has actually shared this with me. He actually reached out to me back in season 1, like before this whole thing started, about broadcasting his league. And of course, I don't remember that, but he actually showed me the message. And what was the first thing I noticed about the message that night? The fact that it took me like a year and a half to answer him back, because I am bad at answering people back. And it's not anything personal. It's just, unfortunately, I do have OCD and, you know, out of sight, out of mind. I don't see it. I don't think about it. It sometimes will not come back to my head. I'm not organized at all. But very thankful he reached back out, and here we are. Three laps to go. Everybody's pretty spread out for the most part. I do want to bounce back to this because Carrington is now fighting with Jackson Van Pelt, and Josh Dillon is there also. Now let's see if Dillon tries to help him any. Yeah, it looks like he's going to go around him for 12th, so Carrington back to 13th. Rosenberg would be his next car, about 3.5 seconds back. And let's looky here because McWhorter is starting to make way in on Whitley here. As they come off turn 4, white flag, final lap from Kansas. Whitley looking for his 6th win of the season. He has been so dominant this season that if you combine the other 4 drivers that have won, they still fall 2 wins short of Mark Whitley as the team goes 1-2, and Whitley wins again, this time in Kansas. As 25-11 goes 3-4. And how about Brad Delph with a top 5 finish? Matthew Weeks comes back to finish 6th. Stephen Miles going to get 7th with Kyle Ethier finishing 8th. Zach Rogers 9th. And one car is out of gas. That is Cassidy, and well, Trey Holmes is going to finish 10th in style. Whitley finally going to get a chance to extend that point lead after tonight with that good run. And as I look at the season here, I mean, for Casey Carrington, he's had a couple of rough finishes throughout season number 6. And this one, unfortunately, is going to add to it. But there was a stretch from the 25th of August until tonight where it was all top 6 finishes. I mean, his worst finish was 6th. And that's what allowed him to maintain that point lead. When you look at Mark in these last couple of weeks, he has an 11th place finish at Darlington, which hurt him. He finished third at Dega, which isn't bad. But that Watkins Glen race, that's going to stand out to him. An 18th place finish in that race. And then you go back to Chicagoland in the early part of the season where he finished 27th. So there's a little bit of up down there. But otherwise, these ones looking pretty good right now for that 77. As we take a look at the final results in the Kansas 200. Whitley, again, the winner, 6th win of the season for him. McWhorter 2nd. Henry, Heller, and Delph, your top 5 with Weeks, Miles, Ethier, Zach Rogers, and Trey Holmes finishing 10th. Josh Dillon, Jackson Van Pelt, Dylan Rosenberg ends up getting around Carrington for 13th. Did not catch that at the end. So that's another position lost by the 9 car. So Casey obviously going to be not a happy camper. Nick Leo 15th, Kreidler 16th. Vanoski and Terry Freer finishing 17th and 18th. 19th going to Craig Martin, 20th to Carson George, 21st to Thomas Stanley, 22nd Sean Cassidy, Mike Husby 23rd, Shane Gentry 24th, Kyle Hall 25th, Corolla Steele had something come up and he decided to abort mission and not race here tonight. As Taylor Henry congratulating her husband, I believe. I know he says hi to the wife all the time, just making sure that Taylor is the wife. I don't want to get that awkward moment where it's like mom or sister or something like that. As we talk to the top 3. Thank you. Just making sure. As Zach Henry finishes in the 3rd position here tonight, of course, keeping that streak alive. I know, man, that green flag come out there in that stretch here that we went through to pretty much get us all the way to the end of the race. And for a second, it's like, oh, Zach's falling back, and this might be trouble for him. As you almost fell back out of the top 10 as you looked like struggling with a loose race car. But way to maintain your composure and come back to get a top 3 in this.
Yeah, it was a solid recovery there. I found out very quickly for that restart that I had no long run pace. So, Chris, Chris being the great teammate he is, said something about how it's possible to make it on one stop about probably 10 laps into that run immediately after the first set of pit stops. And then we just kind of saved it from there and stretched it to the end because I definitely didn't have the speed to run with anybody in front of me.
Yeah, talk about how tough that is because obviously you got to save a little bit because you had to do, 2 37-lap runs pretty much to get the strategy to work out?
I think I might have done like a 39-lap run and then a 38-lap run.
Fair point. Fair about that.
I don't know. I wasn't really counting how many laps it was. It's just, looking at the little iRacing estimated laps thing, and all right, I got 20 more laps in the tank. That'll take me to 98 going on, or 97 going on 98. I can make it to the end from there. That's good enough. But yeah, it's tough to save fuel. Obviously, I didn't do anywhere near good enough. Mark up there was running significantly quicker than I was, and still saved more fuel than I did. So, kudos to him for being able to do that.
I think one thing that benefits this car and complements this car is the off-throttle time that you do through the corners, because obviously you're going almost 200 mile an hour into these corners, and you got to slow down the car to get it there. And with this car not having as much drag, definitely helps you with the fuel mileage.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, no, I was clutching, lifting halfway down the back stretch, 3/4 throttle. I ran probably about 22 laps without ever reaching 100% throttle, and
wow.
I don't know, just didn't save as much as I thought I would, I guess.
Well, it still worked out for you, man. Congratulations on the 3rd place finish. As I know you'll gain a little bit on Casey for 2nd, but unfortunately, Mark got you there. So I know that's not what you want to hear, but at least points-wise, another good night.
Yeah, for sure. Right. I got to shout out my wife. As always, hello, Taylor. Hope it was a good race. Any family that I got watching, Chris, my 2511 teammate. As always, it's fun racing with him, and wouldn't have finished 3rd if it wasn't for him. So got to really thank him there. Casey does a great job with the league, and then you for doing these broadcasts. I hope it was a little more exciting to watch than what it felt in the car.
I understand that. No, hey, a race is a race, my man. So great job tonight. Congratulations. And now we will talk next Friday night from Phoenix.
Do you have a good one?
Hey, you too, buddy. Zach Henry finishing in the third position there. And congratulations to him, obviously on the run, as he talked about how tough it was for him to be able to save and do what he had to do. And Joseph McCorder,
Yes, sir.
as I bring up a guy who's known as Mad Dog, apparently on Discord, and I'm looking at your photo. And I'm getting mad vibes of that old Nickelodeon purpled face character dude in the mornings back when like I was a kid. That had I'm getting that kind of vibes out of your photo, by the way.
Yeah, it's an old picture. I really need to get a new one. That one's probably 3 years old or so.
Now that's
Kind
not,
of, yeah, I know. It's not a great picture. I need to get a better one. I'm
Well,
not very
that's-
good at taking pictures.
well, that's not the only photo that we're looking at, by the way. As me and your spotter there were having a good old time. With your smirky photo that you have here on the app. It literally, like, I actually said it, we were going through the field and we're like, it looks like there's a microphone to your left there, but I think it's literally the shadow of your cord.
Yeah, I think so. I don't have a boom mic anymore, so just my headset.
Well, on the serious side, man, great second place run for you. Obviously, look, I think you led the most laps here tonight, being able to lead for a while there. What was the one difference between you and Mark in the end there?
I didn't save enough in that second to last run and left myself a little bit short to where Mark could go a lot harder than I could. So just kind of shot myself in the foot. I didn't understand what my spotter, he said that we were good, and he was meaning with one stop, and I thought we could make it to that one stop without having to save. So it was just kind of like my fault on misunderstanding and not asking for clarification. So I didn't start saving in that second run or that first run until coming to probably lap 75 or 80 or something like that. So like I was way behind on Mark there. So kind of just shot myself in the foot a little bit. It's kind of disappointing for how just fast we were. I came in with like no expectations because this is one of my good tracks, and we got to the lead pretty early, and then we just pulled away and just managed the gap. Got really good pit stops. I beat Mark on both pit stops that we did tonight, so I was feeling really confident about that. But just a little bit of a mistake, and just being one lap short kind of really made the big difference there. But it's a good night for Mark. Mark made a lot of points on the 9 car for the championship. He got him a win. We finished second. We're just here for fun and for trophies, and it's a really good night for the whole organization.
Also, it is fully okay for you to throw your spotter under the bus here if you'd like. 'Cause, I mean, he was in chat with me over here talking about drink. He was actually, I don't know if he really was, but he actually gave me the size of the ice he was putting in his drink and everything and all that stuff. So you can totally blast him if you want.
I think it's just me and Rogers have only just now started working together, and we're still working on building that repertoire and me understanding his lingo and stuff. So, I'm not going to put any blame on him. It was my fault for not asking for any clarification and just kind of going on my own whim. So, we're going to keep building on that. Right now, he and I are running he's coaching me through trying to run for a championship on Sunday, and he's coached me to hopefully finish in second on Saturday night in my other league. So, it's just one of those things. Whenever you get a new spotter and you've worked with the same spotter for so many years, you kind of build that repertoire. You kind of understand their lingo. You kind of understand what they mean by certain things. And I think tonight was just one of those moments where we could sit down and look at it and grow on it and keep going as a pair. Because right now, I mean, he's helped me big time on speed in the next gen car. Got me a win in that thing for the first time. So yeah, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus other than myself.
Nothing wrong with that, my man. Well, hey, great job tonight. Congratulations. Send some shout outs.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank Red Camel Racing. You see them on the hood each and every week. Red Camel Racing, they are my sponsor for all of my race gear that I use in real life. I actually finally I guess you're going to be the first time I get to call this out. Been hinting at it on V-Speed all season, but December on New Year's, I am racing in Sebring for the Dual 8s down there in Champ Car. So really excited to be repping their gear. So go check them out at redcamelracing.com. Harpoon Design, Brantley makes the beautiful schemes that you see on Mark and I's car every single week. He's got over 2,000 paint schemes on his list on Trading Paint, so go check them out at heartbindesign.com. Reaper Speed Labs, they've been really fast in C and B Open the last few weeks. I don't know how they're doing this week, but I know their short track stuff is normally really good. So go check them out at reaperspeedlab.com. Roger again for all the hard work tonight. Mark, my teammate, all the other Driven Motorsports guys. You for putting on an awesome broadcast. You do a hell of a job. It's really entertaining to go back and watch, even whenever I'm not racing and Mark is. All the admins for all the hard work, and all the drivers for a really good, clean, fun race.
Absolutely, man. Best of luck, obviously, to you if I don't get chalky again down at Sebring, down in my kind of home area there. Grew up to the east of there.
Come
but,
on out and visit me.
Well, I'm in Indiana now. It's a little tougher to get down there.
Well,
but,
I understand that. It's a seven. Well, I'm in Missouri, so it's going to be a 17-hour drive for me to get all the way down there.
Yo, that's
Yeah, it's gonna be real fun, but it's not the first time. I drove the 16 hours straight through the Daytona and ran the 12 hours the 12 hours of Daytona this year. So yeah, it's part of racing, man. You got to do the travel.
There you go, and go hit all the potholes you can so you can get used to Sunset Bend. So there you go. Best of luck
Thanks,
to you.
sir.
Yes,
Have a
absolutely.
good night.
You
Appreciate
too.
it.
You too. Joseph McCorder finishing second tonight, and obviously, yeah, congrats on the gig there. He's got a pretty cool thing there. Sebring's actually, it's weird. It's literally like an hour west of where I grew up or near there. I never went by the track at all. Then again, I never really went that way to Florida, in Florida. All right, let's talk to the winner here again. Mark Whitley to the lead, to the win, I should say, stretching out that point lead just a little bit. Exactly what you needed tonight, and of course the fuel mileage. When did it click? Like mid race, after the couple cautions, when did it like become a hey, you know what, we can do this in one stop?
Well, at the beginning of the race, I knew it was going to be close to making it on 3 stops. I think two, three, something like that. It was close to being able to do it. And we had those cautions, and I wasn't sure after that last caution how it was going to like put us. So we just kind of ran it out. I was taking it easy, trying to save tires, save a little gas, and I asked Brantley, my spotter, after we pitted that last time. I could almost, if I'd saved a little more, I could have got one more on that the first green flag run. So I knew we were saving decent amounts, and he said we went 37, I think, and I looked at the remaining laps, and I think it was 74, and I'm like, well, that's 37, so we should be, if we keep saving. So that second run, I just went ultra save from the beginning. I was able to save a couple more laps than my teammate Joe. He had to pit before me, and I wanted to stretch that run out as long as I could, so that last run of the race I could run it hard if I needed to, which I think that's kind of what let me get around him. He had to save real hard that last run, and I was able to just kind of run medium. I didn't have to save. I just saved a little bit, didn't run really hard, and thankfully no cautions came out. Worked out good for us, especially with Casey having some issues throughout the race. Kind of felt like we claw back those points we lost at Darlington plus some. So a nice little turn of events. Now swings back in our momentum. I think there's 3 races left to go. All 3 of them are good tracks for me. At least it's been a while since I run the Legacy Phoenix, so it's gonna be interesting going back there and running that. But I know Phoenix is usually a good track for me. Richmond's really good, and I really like Homestead. So as long as we can keep running up front, now we got a little bit of a cushion. Not a big one. I mean, it'll evaporate in one race as we saw it here. So just got to keep the pressure up. Get these top 5 finishes, and hopefully clinch the championship and celebrate later. But first gotta look one race at a time.
Well, great job, man. Yeah, that definitely worked out for you, obviously, tonight, getting that strategy to work. And then, obviously, as you mentioned, you helped out your points move. But, obviously, some battling in that race because, obviously, I know you and Zach, and you made the old Newman comment, which made me laugh, actually, on the stream, to be honest with you. But, and then the old tougher to pass than a kidney stone. But, still the battle with Zach and right, and then obviously battling your teammate there with the pit strategies and stuff. Talk about that a little bit and how exciting that was to have him up there racing with you.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I always like racing with Joe. Yeah, Zach, I was that one run there, that was the first green flag run. I was just trying to save it, and I could tell I was faster, but running that bottom, if you get pinched off the exit, I mean, you have to lift or you get really loose. So I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, damn, like, he's just like, why is he running me this hard, like, this early in the race? Like, I was kind of confused. And then Joe's the one. He's like, well, he's running the numbers correct, and he'd given Ryan Newman. I'm like, well, shit, you're right. So
Right.
and like we went going a couple more laps, and that's when I made the Newman comment. I'm like, you'd make Ryan Newman proud with. It's just I was like, you can't really be mad for somebody running you hard because we're out here racing, we're
Right.
not just running laps. So it was just kind of getting a little irritating because I knew I was faster. I just didn't want to burn myself up to get around him. And I think we finally got around him, and I think he either missed a corner or we were able to get away from him a little bit and just kind of hit our marks and kind of walk away. But it was pretty fun. I was a little nerve wracking because in my back of my head at that point in the race, Casey had already had his issue, so I just didn't want to get taken out. Like I didn't want to be involved in another racing incident like me and Matthew had at Darlington. So I was just like, I don't want to keep running side by side. Like bad things happen. So, I'm just glad, just a little bit of fun. I mean, he's a hell of a competitor. Hats off to him. I mean, that was a great race. I know he got third. So, it was a little nerve wracking, but it was still fun at the same time.
Well, great job tonight, man. Congratulations, and send a shout out whoever you like to.
Oh yeah, big shout out Brantley Harpoon Design, putting on the paint scheme for me and Joe, spotting for me. I really appreciate all the work. He was coaching me through when we were needing to save the gas, keeping me informed on how much gas we had, how many laps we had, where I needed to go, where the leaders were once we came out, what their lap times, just helping me all around. I appreciate him. So check him out at harpoondesign.com. He's got a form you can fill out and get you a custom made paint scheme. Or if you just want to, he's got like almost 2,000 paint schemes on trading paint at this point. So if you just want to go in there and check him out, he's got something for everybody. So big shout out to him. Shout out to my teammate, coming home P2, 1-2 finish, Harpoon Design, Driven Motorsports. Hell of a, love having him race with us. Shout out to my family tuning in these broadcasted races. I always appreciate it. Friday night, they could be anywhere else and they sit there watch me race. So I really, really, really appreciate it. Mom, dad, granddad, appreciate y'all watching. League for, we got a couple quick yellows there at the beginning of the race, but then the whole race went green, and that kind of worked out for us in our strategy. But, long green flag runs, that's a staple of a really good league, and we got a lot of good guys here. So, hell of a run for everybody in the league. I really appreciate, everybody being respectful and, nobody driving over their head. So, the whole field throughout, just a great set of guys. And, last shout out, I guess, to give it to you for putting on a great broadcast. I know one of our I think Joe Spotter was sitting there watching the stream during the race, and he was complimenting how good you were. And yeah, it's just, you put on a really good broadcast, and I can't wait to go back and watch this.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were having a little fun with each other in chat. So I was picking on, well, I'd never heard of I'm sure, which I couldn't help but wonder. Like I tried to get Joe to throw him under the bus. It didn't work. But I was trying to be an instigator. Anyways, well, great job, man. Congratulations.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it. Hopefully we get to talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Mark Whitley, they're the winner tonight for the 6th time this season, going to victory lane here at the Kansas Speedway. So we will click our heels and perform some magic tricks and go to Phoenix. And I don't mean the new Phoenix. I mean the old Phoenix, Legacy Phoenix, which is the old 1 mile track that has the front straightaway where it used to be, of course, with the old dog leg with the grass on the inside. So you can't shortcut the dog leg here. And as a matter of fact, I think about it, the dog leg was a little more of a curve than the new one. It's more of a sharp angle now than it used to be. But that was a fun Phoenix back in the day too to watch. So we'll look forward to going back there coming up next week for the race. 156 laps around the 1 mile diamond in the desert, as they say, over in Phoenix, or Avondale, Arizona is the town that it's called. So looking forward to that, and appreciate Casey Carrington, everybody from, of course, All-American and the Cup Series for allowing us to broadcast each and every Friday night. And we're going to enjoy the final weekend of October already. Happy Halloween for those who are dressing up. Looking forward to another year of me dressing up as a FedEx employee, because I'll be working that day. Go figure. It kind of works out itself being free. And yeah, we'll go from there. So be safe. We'll see you guys next Friday night. Of course, for All-American, for those fans of just watching the stream, I'll see you, I think it's Monday night will be my next broadcast. So anyways, enjoy the rest of your Friday evening. Enjoy the weekend as we go into the month of November. And always remember, this isn't just a game. It's iRacing. See ya!
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless. A sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah, yeah.